Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So Anthony and I decided to do Isaiah 56 together because we both really love this chapter, especially the first 8 verses of it.
Yeah.
It's just really awesome, this chapter. And what's funny is that each English translation, I'm sure, has a different title, but as we all know, a lot of us have titles over chapters. And mine says, yours says the same. New King James Version says salvation for the Gentiles, which I think is ironic because, it's the church, the Gentile Christians who are so adamant about we don't need Shabbat, but yet this is titled by those people who put this in English, says salvation for the Gentiles. I just find this extremely ironic.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that.
But all right, so you want to read?
All right, brother. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
All right. Let's see. All right, so I'll read. See, how many verses are there altogether?
12.
12.
Mm-hmm.
I'll read the first 6. Or you want to read the first 6?
That doesn't matter.
Thus says Yehovah, keep justice and do righteousness, for my salvation is about to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man who does this, the Son of Man who lays hold on it, who keeps from defiling the Sabbath, keeps his hand from doing any evil. Do not let the son of the foreigner who has joined himself to Yehovah speak, saying, Yehovah has utterly separated me from his people. Nor let the eunuch say, here I am, a dry tree. For thus says Yehovah, to the eunuchs who keep my Shabbats, choose what pleases me, hold fast my covenant, even to them I will give in my house and within my walls a place and a name, better than that of sons and daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Also the sons of the foreigner who join themselves to Yehovah to serve him, to love the name of Yehovah, to be his servants, everyone who keeps from defiling the Sabbath and holds fast my covenant.
Even them I will bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. Yehovah Elohim, who gathers the outcast of Israel, says, yet I will gather to him others besides those who are gathered to him. All you beasts of the field come to devour. All you beasts in the forest, his watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber. Yes, there are greedy dogs which never have enough, and are shepherds who cannot understand. They all look to their own way, everyone for his own gain. From his own territory, come, one says, I will bring wine, and we fill ourselves with intoxicating drink. Tomorrow will be as today, and much more abundant. Wow.
So here so the first 8 verses are all about Shabbat. Shabbat and
Accepting the outsider.
Huh?
Shabbat and accepting the outsider.
Exactly. So all pertaining to Shabbat, and it's titled Salvation for the Gentiles. And in the second half, from verse 9 on is rebuking the irresponsible leaders of Israel who are lazy and all this. And this is ironic because like I said at the beginning, everybody's always challenging the Sabbath, Mishpachah. It's
like, do you read the word?
Right.
Have you ever read this before?
It's like everybody, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense why even those who come to keep the Torah, who claim to keep Torah, who claim to keep the commandments, who claim to keep Shabbat, I see so many of them, they spend more time trying to figure out what they can get away with on Shabbat than they do declaring of worshiping on Shabbat, of just honoring Yah on Shabbat. You know, people watching whatever they want to watch, doing whatever they want to do. They think because they stayed at home and didn't go anywhere or didn't go to work or something that they're keeping Shabbat, yet they're just watching movies or watching their own thing. It has nothing to do with Yah. It has nothing to do with drawing close to Him. They're not reading the Word. They're not being in prayer. They're just sitting at home like it's a day off. Or worse, then you have those who claim to keep Shabbat, but they're cooking on the Sabbath, they go to the store on the Sabbath, and then on top of it, they say, oh, but we honor Shabbat because that was for then, you know. And it's the same old story, it's the same old nonsense. But Yah is sitting here saying, and then we have the fight and the battle of what anybody would try to say that, you know, well, the argument that, well, that's for the Jews.
Yeah.
Sabbath was for the Jews. But yet it's titled Salvation for the Gentiles, which is ironic. And then on top of that, the key thing it's focused on is the eunuch and the stranger, the foreigner. You know, multiple places that it references to those who are outside of Israel. And at the end of everything he's saying there about Shabbat, he says, yes, I will gather to him others besides those who are gathered in him.
Yeah.
To him.
That sounds a lot like Yeshua when he says that I will gather other sheep that are not of this fold into this fold.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Amen.
And everybody's got the same rules of the house.
That's right. Amen, brother. You know, one thing that I would like to say here is in, let's see, verse 7. Verse 7, it says, even them I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices will be accepted on my altar. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. So,
sounds like millennial reign to me.
Yeah, amen. And one thing we need to realize, Mishpachah, is, you know, in the Torah for burnt offerings, for any kind of offering that was to be made on the altar, you know, it had to be given by an Israelite to the priest. You literally stand at the door of the tabernacle, give it to the priest, and they do the offering for you. The Levite, the high priest, or the priest would do the offering for you. And we were reading a few months back before we came out here, when Paul took the two men, and they were Greek, I think, if I'm not mistaken. At least one of them was Greek. Either one or both of them were Greeks. He took them into the temple to do the Nazirite vow with them, and he paid for them. And they all would have given their offerings to the priest to be sacrificed, because you have to do a sacrifice at the beginning of the Nazirite vow. And a lot of people will say, you know, well, you know, even the Jews in that time, the Pharisees in that time, said that Paul defiled the temple when he did that. And I've heard that to be an argument by people that want to reject Paul. They will say that he defiled the temple, or that he did things that were against Torah. But Mishpachah, we're clearly reading right here in Isaiah 56, verse 7, that even there, like the outsiders, the eunuchs, the foreigners, those who are willing to keep